Isak's not in Asia. Isak is not in Asia. Isak is not in Asia! Hello, I am the Irish guy, and I'll be honest, okay? A few years ago, I never thought that this is something that would bother me. If you told me that some Swedish striker would never step foot in Singapore, it's not something I think would have made me choke on my Frosties. Now, you might as well have told me that your elderly mum has cancelled her summer trip to France. I don't care, so stop bothering me with this, whilst I'm clearly trying to lick cheese off the toaster. Alexander Isak is missing Newcastle's pre-season tour because of a thigh injury. Really? Thigh injury? That's what we're going with? Really? I have not been this devastated to find out that someone wasn't on a plane since Ethan in season 1 of Lost. But lads, there is no Isak in Singapore. This pre-season tour, which is supposed to grow the Newcastle United brand overseas. And we choose to leave our best player at home, watching the Teletubbies with his cat. Lads, make no mistake about it. I don't care if Isak does have a dodgy thigh. I don't care if he's had a spine ripped apart by Godzilla. Get him on that plane to Singapore to have him taking selfies with potential Newcastle fans. But no, instead, those poor Singaporean children are gonna have to force a smile and brag on Facebook that they met Sean Neve instead. Who? Don't worry about it. Isak cannot leave Newcastle. He can't. No! Oh, look at this. Breaking news just as I'm doing the video. It says here, Alexander Isak tells Newcastle he wants to explore other options. Oh, isn't that just wonderful? This must be what McGregor's wife feels like when he tells her he's just downloaded Tinder on his phone. He actually wants to leave. He wants to get out of here. He doesn't want Newcastle United anymore. We're actually going to lose Isak now. We're actually on the verge. He wants to go. That's why he's not gone to Asia. Oh, what are we going to do? Literally, what are we going to do? This is Newcastle's best striker since Shearer. And we're only going to get, what, 2, 3 measly years out of him? With Shearer, we got 10. Can he not see the vacancy at Liverpool has been filled? Ekatike is literally taking your job, pal. Liverpool are taking someone else to the dance. So yeah, you should sit home playing chess with the dog. I can't believe he actually wants to go. I've been convincing myself all summer long that he won't go. He will show loyalty. He wants to be at Newcastle. Do you think Newcastle signed Elanga just because they like him as a player? Nah, it's because he's Swedish, mate. We signed him for you. This is a transfer request. Pure and simple. This wasn't supposed to happen to Newcastle United anymore. Not after the takeover. I mean, when Man City got bought out, they only ever had to contend with one transfer request since. Carlos Tevez in 2010. Weirdly, that was nearly a year before he got suspended for refusing to come off the bench. That was one. Tevez wanted to go because he was apparently homesick. But, I mean, Tevez is about as loopy as the pick off Looney Tunes because he always maintained he was going to retire at 28. That's it. One transfer request City have had to put up with. But Newcastle, this is the first transfer request we've had to deal with since Johan Cabaye went on strike. And it's a horrible feeling. Having a player tell you they don't want you anymore and want to explore other options, I feel sick. Why does he want to go? Why? Liverpool have actually turned his head. You've fully gone and tickled his ears, and I am silently outraged. This feels like someone stuck into my bedroom and cut off my teddy bear's head. It feels like I've just discovered Susan Boyle in my bathroom cleaning her ears with my toothbrush. This feels like a violation. Isak is our player, not yours. How could you do this? It's devastating. I'm crashing out. I'm freaking out. Champions League night at St. James's Park this season, and he wants out? What more do you want, mate? You're already worshipped as a Newcastle United legend. The number 9 shirt is vacant for you to slide into. You just have to scrub Callum Wilson's donut stains off the front, but still, why do you want to go? The most heartbreaking thing about all of this is that he's irreplaceable. Legitimately, this is going to be the biggest downgrade I have ever seen at Newcastle in my life. Because yes, it was tough to replace Shearer on paper, but really, he was a 10-goal a season, past his best penalty merchant who could barely even move. So going from that to a young and hungry Obafemi Martins overnight was actually, and weirdly, an upgrade, because Shearer was a spent force whilst Martins was an up-and-coming hotshot at Inter Milan. But this is going to be the biggest drop down in any position I have ever seen at Newcastle. Who are Newcastle going to replace Isak with? Who? See, this news has made me sound like an owl with Tourette's. This is really scary because Eddie Howe's already admitted that he left Isak out of their pre-season match at Celtic, a horrible 4-0 defeat by the way, with Nick Pope once again demonstrating that he's got the concentration levels of a cartoon chipmunk. But don't worry, because long-term goalie target James Trafford is apparently going to quit Burnley for Man City. Lads, Newcastle have been after him for years. This is like some nerd at school spending 3 years trying to work up the courage to ask out his crush, and by the time he finally opens his mouth, he finds out she's already on a date with a high school hunk. Honestly, once this Trafford to City deal goes through, Newcastle have only themselves to blame. But yeah, Isak missed that trip to Scotland, sure. And Howe said it was because of transfer speculation. Not injury, oh no. He left him out due to the gossip, which means it must have scrambled his head. Lads, I never ever bought into the Isak quitting Newcastle hype bubble, ever. No, and especially not when the Reds tied up an £80 million deal for Hugo Ekitike instead. This is a bit like when Chelsea signed both Moise Caicedo and Romeo Lavia. Liverpool's plan A and their plan B. Liverpool are being greedy. This is like being out to lunch with someone who's tucking into their own 5-star steak sandwich, but then they reach across the table and grab a handful of your mashed potato too? Sorry, what? Hands off, Liverpool! You've already taken Newcastle's transfer target. You can't possibly want to sign their best player too? That would be the height of greed, surely not. Here's the scary part. If Isak is to be sold this summer, then the Magpies will currently have one centre forward, William Asula. A lovable, crazy scamp, but he's a 21-year-old with 3 league goals in his entire career. I mean, yeah, he's a little Danish talent who loves to step over, but he's only ever scored in 2 league matches in his life, against Ipswich and Accrington Stanley. That's it. So going into a Champions League campaign with only him up front as the starting striker, it'd be like choosing to hike in the Alps wearing nothing but flip-flops and a Bugs Bunny hat. It's funny how a transfer sale can suddenly change the whole narrative about a potential new sign. Because Liverpool may have scrambled Isak's head, but the Magpies have also made an omelette out of Johan Wies's brain. The guy desperately wants to quit Brentford, and who can blame him? So many stars are escaping that place. You'd swear there were zombies in the club canteen. Champions League nights at St James's Park, or a few months of watching your rookie manager nervously vomit in the toilets before every Premier League match. And look, Wiesa will be a brilliant replacement for Callum Wilson, who is apparently off to ruthlessly steal his podcast buddy's spot at West Ham. Yeah, Mikel Antonio might well get released, and so if Wilson joins him on a free, it's gonna make their podcast really awkward. I mean, thankfully it's all on Zoom, otherwise Antonio might flick soup in his face. I haven't seen a more awkward podcast breakup since one of them got jailed in Australia. I mean, never mind. But look, Wiesa just scored 19 Premier League goals last season. Similar numbers to what Wilson managed 2 years ago. They've even got the same first 2 letters on the back of their shirt. This one fits, and it's an upgrade. But if Isak were to leave now, and Wiesa was his replacement, I might cry. It's like Roque Santa Cruz. Having been a mid-table, 19 goal a season striker at Blackburn, he was then bought by newly rich Man City, but for the bench, considering that club also put Adebayor and Tevez that summer too. But if they hadn't, and it really was just Santa Cruz leading the line for a club trying to get into the Champions League, it would have been more underwhelming than if the City fans were to pay big money for a hospitality ticket at the Etihad and were then served sausage rolls that have been sneezed on by Liam Gallagher. You cannot go from Isak to Wiesa. You just can't. It's like Tottenham going from Harry Kane to Solanke. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. I mean, look at where Spurs just finished. Oh yes, 4th bottom of the league, and the very fact you're in the Champions League this season, it's a bit of a joke. It's a bit like failing your exams at school and still getting into Harvard University just because you beat some fellow underperforming dunce in the school spelling bee. Look, I'm guessing that Newcastle have also angered Brentford by coming in with a £25 million bid, the exact same number that Nottingham Forest had rejected 3 weeks ago. So what, Newcastle think Brentford would say no to Forest and demand a fee closer to their £50 million valuation. But if Eddie Howe comes knocking, oh, they'll package Weiss up in a pizza box and slip him through the letter box. Now, to me, that just looks like Newcastle didn't even bother researching the Forest bid. They weren't even listening, because 3 weeks ago, Wiesa was not on Newcastle's radar at all, right? Seriously, it's like being in school and if the teacher asks you for the capital of Bulgaria and you just repeat the exact same wrong answer that another kid said 5 minutes earlier because you weren't listening, you were too busy staring at the window and daydreaming about giving Roy Jennings a wedgie. Look, Brentford won 50 million, which is really crazy for a striker who turns 30 next year and has 1 year left in his deal. But I can understand why the Bees are desperate to keep him, because losing your most successful ever manager, your captain, your goalkeeper, and your 2-star forwards in the same summer, whilst appointing a manager who's never managed a single match in his life, that would represent the worst transfer window a Premier League club has ever had. That would represent serious relegation worries. It stinks a little bit of what Bayer Leverkusen are right now, who've replaced Xabi Alonso with Eric Ten Hag. They've just seen Liverpool steal 2-star players, and right now they're having to plead with their captain not to join Sunderland, which must feel a little degrading that they're even having to do that. It's a bit like begging your mum not to go on Love Island. But yes, I absolutely get why Brentford might want to make it difficult for Newcastle to get Wiesa. So this transfer is absolutely not even in the bag, because if there's one thing Newcastle has successfully managed to achieve over and over again since it became the richest club in the world on paper, it is failing to get deals over the line. Seriously, this club are about to be under the 3rd sporting director in as many years, with the Magpies trying to wrestle former Rangers chief Ross Wilson out of Nottingham Forest. Best of luck with that, lads. You'll probably be served a lawsuit for even offering to buy him a coffee. Apparently Newcastle already have their full Isak replacement though. The internet tells me that it's Mike Beerith from Monaco. I think everybody at St. James's Park should be banned from buying from Monaco again. After the bag of eggshells they gave us in 2014, Emmanuel Riviere still sends shivers down my spine. This should be a cut and dry case. A bit like how you wouldn't go back to the same Chinese takeaway that made you destroy your toilet. Lads, I don't care if this kid is informed. I don't care if this 22-year-old London-born Dane just had a 27-goal season shared out between Sturm Graz and Monaco. No, the last time Newcastle United were in the Champions League, this fella was playing for Motherwell. Motherwell! And he's the answer? He's somebody who spent 4 years at Fulham and 3 at Arsenal. Somebody who was deemed to be a worse player than Eddie Nketiah. I mean, all you have to do is look at Biarritz, Monaco's strike partner, to see that any centre forward who lost a battle against Nketiah, they are a burnt out sausage muffin. Because following Balogun was a League on goal machine at Reims. He had massive major hype. Arsenal were told they'd made a mistake. Nah, they really didn't. Because he's been outshot at Monaco by another Arsenal flop. These guys are just the modern day version of Chuba Akpom. Newcastle, stay away, please! It's critical that Newcastle do not let Isak leave. And if Newcastle were to sell Isak and replace him with an aging Wisa, I'd be so sick that I have to spend the afternoon scraping chunks of banana out my carpet. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know, what do you think? Is Isak leaving? Let me know in the comments. I hope not. Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and ways. I'll talk shit in a while. I'm nearly there with the bananas. Please, Isak, don't go anywhere.